Have you ever wondered why some relationships start off strong but cool off quickly? Recently, I was watching an interview with Alec Baldwin and his wife, where his wife rolled his eyes at him and said, "Stop, you're annoying me." And the internet missed a key point. They piled on a bunch of disrespect on his wife, but what they seemed to miss was the subtle behaviors that Alec was displaying that aren't attractive. So today, I'm going to break down to you those subtle behaviors that aren't attractive that nice guys display that completely lose attraction for their woman. Welcome to the Great Men Are Built channel. I'm Matthew Manning, and I help shy, introverted men in their 30s get into a long-term relationship. And today, I'm in Canada, BC, going for a walk with my wife, and I want to break down these 6 behaviors that nice guys are displaying that lose attraction. But before I go into this, I want to share a key concept. It's called betatization of 1,000 consents. So what this means is what nice guys do is they make small little consents in their relationships, thinking that that's what the woman wants. But what actually happens is it slowly starts to erode attraction, and then she immediately starts to lose attraction. But the challenge is, if you look at Alec Baldwin and his wife, you would look at that's happening right then and there. But what actually is happening is Alec has made a bunch of consents over a long period of time where she just gets fed up with him. And I don't know if you ever noticed this, but I know that, when you go to a family member's house or you go to a family friend's or something, and you see this dynamic play out between maybe like your uncle or your auntie or someone that you know, or maybe it's happening to you, and you see that dynamic play out where the woman just does not have respect for the man. Well, this is because he's been betatized. Basically, you can think of it as you're energetically neutered. And one of the metaphors that I've learned that helped me understand this was, imagine a water dripping on a rock, right? Right here, I'm by a beautiful river, and water, if you're just to splash a bunch of water on a rock, it won't erode the rock. But if you're to put one drop every same consistent space, it will eventually erode the rock, right? So this is what happens to a woman when she slowly starts to lose interest in you and starts to lose respect. So I'm going to break down these behaviors. So number 1 behavior that nice guys do is they do what's called reflexive apologizing. They're constantly apologizing, but they're apologizing through manipulation. So if you look at that interview with Alec Baldwin, you can see him as he just goes, "Oh, sorry, sorry." And watch how many times he says sorry. It's like a reflex. It's like an automatic reflex. What he's trying to do is basically pander to her because he doesn't want to, basically he's not in frame. So what you can see is a nice guy does, what he does is he does reflex apologizing. He's doing that through manipulation. Now, the next thing, what happens is when you say sorry in that way, what's happening is it's coming from fear. It signals fear and not remorse. It's not genuine. You're just reflex, "Oh, sorry." Like, "Oh, sorry. Oh, sorry." Not even giving it time, not even thinking about it. So what that does is that actually shows that you're in a fear state. And if you think about it, with your woman, do you think you want to be in a fear state? Like, that's not attractive. You're the protector. And if you're in a fear-like state, that's not going to really feel good for her. And she's going to lose respect for you. So the first one is you got to be mindful of this reflective apologizing. Number 2, very common amongst nice guys, is passive aggressive comments. This is really, really important. Like, just saying passive aggressive comments to a woman is just, it's not attractive. And really, so what happens is nice guys will often, they'll start to use sarcasm as a way to think that they're being humorous, but actually it's really just passive aggressive communication. So we got to be very, very mindful of that. And what this does is, when you're using passive aggressive communication through sarcasm, really what you're doing is it's just suppressing your frustration. And this is why it comes out passive aggressive, right? Because it's boiling up and then it just kind of needs an outlet. And then you outlet it through passive aggressive behaviors. And this is not attractive. This is not attractive at whatsoever. And this immediately gets her to start losing respect for you. So you got to be mindful of that one. Next, one of the things we got to be mindful of that we lose behavior with a woman is approval seeking behavior. Okay, now this stems from childhood. So this is like a childhood wound. What happens is if we think about it when we're younger, our mother was our first relationship, or your father was your first relationship. And so if your relationship wasn't good with your family, that means death. Think about it. Your parents, when we come into this world, our parents are our superhero. They're our gods. But if we lose connection with that, right? If we get out of rapport, if we're not on good behavior, guess what happens? That could be life or death. And you got to think from a child mind, we don't have these faculties of reason. We don't have critical thinking yet. So when we're doing this, we think, oh, this is, if we lose connection with our mom or our father, that means our lifeline. And I can tell you from having that happen as a child, it's very devastating. I've been able to process that now. And I actually help clients do that and process this at a very deep level. It's extremely deep work. So if that's something you're interested in, click the link below. Let's jump on a call and let's see if we're a fit to work together. I'd love to help you process this and actually start getting the dating life that you really want, which is very important. But this isn't for everyone. This work is not for everyone. And it's definitely not for people that are just trying to get into the pickup thing. This is for people that are looking to get in deep relationships. So approval seeking behavior is very important. And what nice guys do is they get approval as similar like oxygen. Right now I'm in beautiful nature and providing amazing oxygen. But when you're looking for oxygen of approval, this is not healthy and it immediately allows you to lose respect. And the worst part about this, when you're seeking approval from your partner, basically what that is like a childlike strategy. And think about this. It's like the last thing your woman wants is for you to be like a boy. She's looking for a man. So you're seeking approval in a childlike way. Like this is not attractive, immediately loses respect. Number 4, triangulation. Now, triangulation is where what happens is when a nice guy is afraid of conflict, what he'll do is he'll bring someone else into the conversation. So basically, it's like bringing a bystander. So it creates a triangulation between you, the person you have conflict with, and then you try to bring in a third witness, and you're doing passive aggressive comments and trying to pull this person in to sway them to your side. It's actually a very high level of manipulation. And I was just sharing this with my wife. You know, what's crazy about all this stuff is you don't go on the internet or you watch YouTube videos to learn how to do this. We pick this up as children. We learn these strategies as children, but they aren't, some of them really aren't healthy. And triangulation is really not a great way because what happens is basically you're afraid of conflict. And so you can't face the conflict like a man. You can't face the person in direct communication. So what you do is you bring a bystander in to come and kind of be at your party with you. So this is really not attractive. And what happens is now you're bringing this third person in for validation, right? So because you're not getting validation for your partner, you bring this third person in, and you see this in the interview with Alec Baldwin. What he starts to do is you see him constantly looking at the camera, and he makes these like comments and things and looks at the camera. And what he's doing is he's triangulating in that moment. So very interesting. Number 5, what happens is nice guys give insincere compliments. You know, they're doing flattery, trying to get out of the doghouse. They're trying to not like get in trouble, and they're trying to keep themselves on good behavior, right? You ever heard that, being on good behavior? So what they do is they say insincere compliments. So if you look at that interview, one of the things you'll see is he'll say, "Oh, you're just so beautiful." It's like just after he made a passive aggressive comment, then he goes, "Oh, you're so beautiful." It's not sincere. And flattery is not going to get you out of the doghouse. And it's very, very clear that you're manipulating. So that's not attractive at all. That's really not attractive. And number 6 is validating seeking questions. So, you know, you start asking questions like, "Do you believe in me? Like, do you believe me?" And you can see him say that to her. And one of the things you find out when he says that is like she gets very upset. And that's like completely not attractive. And what starts to happen when you ask validating questions is it causes you to have awkward silences and awkward social pressure. And here's the thing, it's not attractive having social pressure, like this awkward social pressure. Social pressure is really good. You can put on social pressure, but when you're doing it out of validating, seeking questions, it's just really not attractive. So that's not something we want to do. So what are the solutions? How can we shift this? What are the behaviors? How can you actually start to get respect? How can you shift this nice guy? Go from nice guy to gentleman, okay? Nice guy to gentleman. That's the transition that we want to go to. So what are the steps that you can take to start shifting this and really start to claim back your life? One of the things you got to start doing is stop just apologizing and knee-jerk apologizing. Apologize when on purpose. So here's what I mean by this. You want to make sure that your apology is sincere. Like, so for example, you're someone that is trying to work on your integrity, right? And you're clear on your values, and it was an old behavior that came out that wasn't integral to your value. And then from there, you apologized for that because you're out of integrity. That's authentic. But when you're just, oh, sorry, trying to get her approval, that's not attractive. And number two, another thing that you can do is, this is really important and extremely important in relationships. You got to express your needs. This is very, very important. Instead of doing a passive aggressive communication, you got to express your needs and do it clearly. So for example, I would appreciate you expressing more clearly to me, or I would appreciate you taking your shoes off at the door, right? Instead of like, yeah, my house is a mess. It's like, no, just kindly ask. I appreciate you leaving your shoes at the door. We're in Canada. I know that we leave our shoes at the door. I think in America, I remember some of my American friends, they wear shoes in their house. I don't know where you're watching this, but I remember observing that and thinking that was interesting to see that behavior in the house, which is just so different to us in Canada. So you can just ask someone kindly to leave their shoes at the door instead of being passive aggressive. But the challenge is, nice guys are very afraid of conflict. And this comes back from an early childhood wound as well. So we want to kind of work through that. Another thing too, which is very important as a man, is you need to find your center. This is very, very important. You need to be able to come back and find your center instead of seeking approval from your partner or from women. You got to be able to come back to center. If you can't do that, that is not an attractive thing. That's something that you really got to be able to do. Next, how do you not triangulate? Handle conflict straight on, okay? This is something you're going to have to get good at if you're going to want to become an attractive man, you want to become an effective man, you want to become a gentleman. Conflict happens. But there's a powerful book called Conflict Resolution, which is very powerful. You can also read 7 Habits of a Highly Effective Person. He talks about synergistic, interdependent, win-win scenarios. So always looking for win-win. And this is where we become better, not bitter. So we're trying to become better, become a better man. And so one of the things we got to be able to do is handle conflict straight on. So you don't need to bring other people in. What we want to do is bring just handle the conflict just one-on-one. Next, the other thing you want to do, instead of giving insincere compliments, start meaning what you say. This is something that is very, very, very important. I see men miss the mistakes all the time on this one, is that you have to mean what you say. If your words don't have meaning, how can your woman have respect for you? You need to mean what you say. And there's a resonance in your voice that starts to come out when you start speaking your truth unapologetically. And I struggled with this one for a very long time. And ironically, I became a public speaker to kind of heal through that without even realizing. But I was struggling every time I'd speak. And like, oh, I just like this. You can even go back and watch some of my other YouTube videos, and my voice didn't have a resonance to it. There wasn't truth to it. I didn't align. I didn't mean what I said. So this is very important. And just kind of go off that one, how to not have validating, seeking questions, is you got to trust your truth. You got to trust something. You got to believe in something. You got to stand for something. Something is important, something that you mean. So mean what you say, which is very, very important. So this is how you're going to get respect. And respect from women isn't earned through compromising or giving, like seeking approval. It's one through direct communication, through speaking your truth, and from really framing and staying in your value. So this is very, very important. So if you're wanting to work on this, if you're wanting to finally start getting the respect you deserve, the respect that you're wanting from women, you want to move past this nice guy syndrome, and you want to move into becoming an actual gentleman that you can get into a long-term relationship that lasts the test of time, then let's jump on a call. Let's see if we're a fit to work together, and click the link below, and then we'll get on a call and we'll see kind of from there if it seems like a fit that we could work together. So very, very powerful. These are the behaviors. Go and get a chance if you can. Go watch the Alec conversation, the Alec Baldwin interview. That was like super fascinating to break it down. There's a lot going on. And the challenge is, if you watch that interview without this information, you're not going to see all the subtleties that will be broken down from this interview. So go check that out as well. Let me know in the comments below which behavior stood out the most to you. I'm very curious. All right, so with that, have a wonderful rest of your day.